While the whole world admired her, all Marilyn wanted was a little peace. The phone call she received that night would change everything. 1962, Beverly Hills. Midnight Marilyn Monroe sat on the edge of her bedroom in her white satin nightgown. The trembling in her hands wouldn't stop. Her heart was racing. Outside, paparazzi flashes were still going off, but she no longer cared, because the phone call she had just received had turned her life upside down. "Marilyn, everything will be over tomorrow," the familiar voice on the phone had said. "Don't tell anyone anything." But who was this mysterious caller? And what did Marilyn need to do? But the biggest thing she didn't know yet was... Marilyn stood up and walked to the window. The lights of Los Angeles danced in her eyes. This city had given her everything: fame, money, fans. But at the same time, it had taken everything from her. Her peace, her right to privacy, and most importantly, true love. "I just want to be a normal girl," she whispered into the fogged glass. But the truly shocking thing was who the voice on the phone belonged to. That voice belonged to the person Marilyn trusted most. It was her manager, Jim. They had been working together for 3 years, planning every step of her career. But tonight, there was something different in Jim's voice. Fear or threat? "Marilyn, listen to me carefully," Jim had said. "Don't do that interview tomorrow. Don't talk about the president. Otherwise..." "Otherwise what, Jim?" Marilyn had asked, her voice trembling. "Otherwise, everyone will see those photos." Marilyn's blood had run cold. What photos was he talking about? And why now? What would you do? Would you protect your career, or would you tell the truth? After hanging up the phone, Marilyn went to the living room. She poured cognac into a crystal glass but couldn't drink it. Her hands were still shaking. 1,000 questions were running through her mind. But the most important one was, who was threatening Jim? That's when everything changed. There was a knock at the door. Who could come at midnight? Marilyn slowly approached the door and looked through the peephole. 2 men she didn't recognize were standing in black suits. They had documents in their hands. "Miss Monroe, would you please open up? We're from the FBI." FBI? Marilyn's world spun. Why was the FBI looking for her? Could the photos Jim mentioned be related to this? Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. Before opening the door, Marilyn took a deep breath. This strong woman always maintained her character, whether on stage or in real life. But this time it was different. This time she was really scared. "Miss Monroe, we need to talk about your relationship with President Kennedy," one of the agents said. The color drained from Marilyn's face. Everyone knew she had a special connection with John F. Kennedy, but no one had ever spoken so openly about it. I'm just an actress," Marilyn said, trying to make her voice sound strong. "Miss Monroe, you need to cancel the interview you're giving tomorrow. It's a matter of national security. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet." Marilyn went to the living room and let the agents in too. She was confused. Jim's call, now the FBI. Was she really in a dangerous situation? "What photos are you talking about?" she asked courageously. The agents looked at each other. Then one of them took an envelope out of his bag. "You don't want to see these, Miss Monroe. But if you give that interview, they'll be in all the newspapers tomorrow morning." Marilyn's hands were shaking as she took the envelope. When she saw what was inside, she was shocked. These photos could ruin her life. In the photos, Marilyn, Kennedy, and other well-known figures appeared at a private party. But this wasn't an ordinary party. These photos were very intimate. "Who took these photos?" Marilyn asked. "That's not important. What's important is that you cancel that interview tomorrow. What you're seeing now is nothing." After the agents left, Marilyn was alone. Now everything was becoming clear. Someone wanted to silence her. But why? What was she going to say in the interview? That night, Marilyn made a very important decision. The presidential election was approaching, and Kennedy's opponent Nixon was ready to expose any kind of dirt. Marilyn had very important information about Kennedy, and tomorrow she was going to share it. But now she was being threatened. The phone rang again. This time she heard a different voice. "Marilyn?" It's Jack. It was John F. Kennedy's voice. The President of America was calling her. Jack, I don't know what to do, Marilyn said. Marilyn, listen to me. Don't give that interview tomorrow, please. Not just for you, but for the country. You won't believe this, but Jack, are you threatening me too? No, Marilyn. I'm trying to protect you. Some people, some very powerful people, want you to stay quiet. And I can't stop them. You won't believe this, but Jack, are you threatening me too? No, Marilyn. I'm trying to protect you. Some people, some very powerful people, want you to stay quiet. And I can't stop them. Marilyn's eyes filled with tears. This man, America's most powerful man, couldn't even protect her. What about those photos? Marilyn, this is just the beginning. If you speak, there are worse ones. Hanging up the phone, Marilyn went to her bedroom and looked in the mirror. There wasn't the world-famous Marilyn Monroe there, just Norma Jean Baker. A small, scared, lonely woman. Wait, the truth she now understood changed everything. Marilyn suddenly realized this wasn't just about her. This was part of a much bigger game. Kennedy, Nixon, FBI, Mafia. Everyone was looking out for their own interests in this election, and Marilyn was caught in the middle of this big game. At 5 a.m., Marilyn finally made her decision. She packed her suitcase and secretly left the house. Where was she going? No one knew, but she thought it was time to change the rules of the game. On her way to the airport, she looked back. She might be seeing Los Angeles for the last time. But she was no longer afraid. She felt free. And then, something she never expected happened. While waiting at the airport, she heard a familiar voice. Marilyn. When she turned around, she saw Jim. But Jim wasn't alone. He had 2 bodyguards with him. Jim. What? What are you doing here? Marilyn, I need to come with you. We're dealing with very dangerous people. Which people, Jim? Jim approached and whispered in Marilyn's ear. Marilyn, Kennedy is going to be assassinated, and they're going to silence everyone, including you. Marilyn looked at Jim in shock. If this was true, the president's life was in danger, and no one would believe her. What if she warned Kennedy? Or should she run away and hide? She only had 30 minutes to board the plane. Jim continued. And Marilyn, the person who took those photos is going to kill you tomorrow, because you know too much now. Marilyn's mind had stopped. The President of America's life was in danger, and there was no one to believe her. Jim's words echoed in her ears. They're going to kill you tomorrow. Jim, how did you find out about this? Marilyn asked, her voice barely coming out. Because, Marilyn, I'm part of this too. But you're not. And it's too late now. That's when Marilyn realized that the men next to Jim weren't police. When the bodyguards approached, Marilyn instinctively started running. She tried to disappear into the crowd at the airport terminal. Her heart was beating so fast she couldn't breathe. Marilyn Monroe this way, someone shouted behind her. The whole airport turned to her. This was the curse of being famous. You can't hide anywhere. At that moment, she saw a service vehicle with its door open. Marilyn jumped into the vehicle without thinking. The driver looked puzzled. Aren't you Marilyn Monroe? Please get me out of here. My life is in danger. The driver, Marco, a young Italian immigrant, saw the fear in Marilyn's eyes. Where do you want to go, Signora? I don't know, just somewhere safe. But Marco also had a secret. As the car moved, Marco looked at Marilyn through the mirror. Signora, my brother also received such threats. He was also collecting information about Kennedy. He was found dead 2 months ago. Marilyn's blood froze. Are you part of this too? No, Signora, but my brother was investigating the Mafia's dirty business. He had found connections between Kennedy and the Mafia. This information was the last piece of the puzzle in Marilyn's head. Kennedy wasn't just a president, he was also someone who collaborated with the Mafia. And now, as the election approached, this dirty relationship must not come to light. Marco, take me to the most secluded part of the docks. Marilyn said. "You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet." The docks were deserted and gloomy at night. As Marilyn got out of the car, Marco followed her. "Signora, you shouldn't be alone. These men are very dangerous." "Marco, you go home. This is my fight." "No, Signora. Since my brother died, I've been looking for the truth too. Let's act together." Marilyn felt this young man's sincerity. Maybe for the first time, someone was protecting her, not because she was famous, but because she was human. Together they hid in an old warehouse building. Marilyn took out a notebook from her bag. "Marco, this notebook contains all of Kennedy's secrets. Mafia connections, dirty money flow, even assassination plans. What you're seeing now is nothing." When Marco opened the notebook, he was shocked. There weren't just Kennedy's name, but also the FBI director, police chief, even judges' names. Madonna Mia, this is a very big network. "Yes, Marco. And tomorrow I was going to reveal all of this in this interview. But now, suddenly car sounds came from outside. Flashlight beams hit the warehouse window. "Marilyn, come out! There's no escape!" Jim's voice was coming. "What would you do? Would you hide or would you go out and fight?" Marilyn and Marco looked at each other. Marco whispered, "Signora, there's a back exit here. We can run to the harbor." "No, Marco, no more running. We need to hide this notebook in a safe place. You won't believe it, but Marilyn's plan was much bolder." Marilyn gave the notebook to Marco. "Take this notebook to my friend Robert at the Washington Post. If something happens to me, let him publish everything." "But Signora, what will you do?" "I'll face Jim. I'll tell him the truth to his face." Marco admired Marilyn's courage. This woman wasn't Hollywood's fragile princess. She was a real warrior. And just then, something unexpected happened. As Marilyn was about to go outside, phones started ringing. First Jim's phone rang, then the bodyguards. They all started talking at the same time. "What? Now? But? Okay, I understand." Operation canceled. Jim called out to Marilyn, "Marilyn? Come out, but don't worry. No one will hurt you." What did this mean? Why was the operation suddenly canceled? The real shock was this: Nixon had won. When Marilyn came outside, she saw the expression on Jim's face. He looked tired, defeated, even a little scared. "Marilyn, Nixon has been elected president. Early results have been announced. What did this mean? Since Kennedy lost, was he no longer a threat?" "Jim, what does this mean?" "It means, Marilyn, we no longer need to keep Kennedy's secrets, because Nixon also has enough dirt on him." But the real truth was much more shocking. Jim continued, "Marilyn, did you ever wonder why you know so much about Kennedy?" "What do you mean?" "Because, Marilyn, you weren't just an actress. You were a CIA secret agent." Flashes started in Marilyn's memory. Secret meetings, code names, special missions, it was all real. But her memory had been erased. She thought she was just Marilyn Monroe, but she was actually Agent Norma. This is impossible," Marilyn said, her voice trembling. "Marilyn, try to remember. You came to us in 1959. We trained you to get close to Kennedy. You gained his trust and learned all his secrets. Missing pieces began to fall into place in Marilyn's mind. That party, those photos, those secret meetings, they were all part of her mission. But why didn't I remember? Because your mission was over, and for your safety, we erased your memory, until it became clear that Nixon would win." Marco listened in amazement. The people who killed his brother working with Marilyn. "Signora, is this true?" Marilyn turned to Marco. There was no longer fear in her eyes, but determination. "Marco, I had your brother killed, because he was getting too close to the truth." Marco's face changed. "Cosa, are you his killer? But the truth wasn't at all what you expected." "No, Marco, I didn't kill him, but I didn't prevent his murder, because I was on duty at that time." Marilyn turned to Jim. "But is my mission over now?" "Yes, Marilyn. Now you can live the life you want." But Marilyn was no longer the old Marilyn. She had learned the truths, seen the game. She was no longer an innocent actress nor a blindly obedient agent. "Jim, I'll make my own decisions from now on." Marilyn turned to Marco. Marco, take your brother's files. Publish everything he investigated. Expose both Kennedy's and Nixon's dirt. But, Senora, call me Norma now. And yes, I couldn't protect your brother, but now I can continue his fight. As Marco took the notebook, Marilyn looked at Jim one last time. This game doesn't end here. Now the real war begins. Jim smiled. Marilyn, you're no longer under our control. Very dangerous. I know Jim, but I don't care anymore. As Marilyn and Marco walked together, the morning sun began to illuminate Los Angeles. Hollywood's most famous actress was no longer there. In her place came a brave woman chasing the truth. And this was just the beginning. Power lies not only in the hands of those who use it, but also in the hands of those who stand against it. Norma Jean Baker, formerly known as Marilyn Monroe. Story end. But the real war is just beginning.